So we've started our 9th unit, the logarithm unit. Logarithms really aren't that bad if you know your exponent rules. So before we even mention the word log, we need to review exponents. So here's a couple, so like I said, some very brief exponent review right here. 2 to the 3rd power is 8 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. It isn't 6. It's not saying 2 times 3. It's saying 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, when the exponent is negative, okay, 7 raised to the negative 2 is the same thing as 1 over 7 squared. So what it does, if it's a negative exponent, it takes the base and it moves it down to the bottom, unless it's already down in the bottom, and then it moves it up to the top. So 7 raised to the negative 2 power is 1 over 49. Another rule, 5 raised to the 0 power. Well, anything raised to the 0 power has a value of 1. And then the last rule, the fractional exponent, 36 to the 1/2 power. Well, that's the same thing as putting it in radical form, and the denominator is the index of the radical, so we would be looking at the square root of 36 to the 1st power, and the square root of 36 is 6. So there's a few rules right there that it's going to be important that you remember them and you know how to use them. We're going to use some more rules, but those are the basic ones for right now. Now moving on to objective 1, the what power notation. I'm going to use the same examples I just did, but we're going to use the what power notation. When you see something like this, what power turns the number 2 into the number 8. The way I introduce it with my students is I put it into exponential form, and since the question is specifically asking what power, I make a box up there for the exponent. And that's literally what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the number that goes in the box. Some of them are going to be simple. You can tell them right off the top of your head just by looking at them. Some of them aren't. So, what power turns the number 2 into the number 8? And the answer is the power of 3. So the answer would be 3. Or if you wanted to think of that as an x, it would be x equals 3. Okay, what power turns the number 7 into the fraction 1 over 49? And that answer is the negative 2 power. What power turns the number 5 into the number 1? So if you put it in exponential form, it looks like this. 5 raised to some power equals the number 1, and that power would be 0. Okay, for this one, what power turns the number 36 into the number 6? Well, you have to take the square root of 36 to get 6, and the way you do that is with the 1/2 power. The 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root. Okay, I got a couple more. Good. So here are a few more tougher ones. What power turns the fraction 3/5 into the fraction 25 over 9? Okay. So in exponential notation, it looks like this. 3/5 is my base. I need to raise that to some power and get 25 over 9 as my answer. Now hopefully you're seeing a relationship between these numbers. If you happen to catch that 3 squared is 9 and 5 squared is 25, then you're on the right track. But if you just put a 2 right here, if you thought the answer was 2, that isn't the right answer. because that would put the 9 on top and it would put the 25 on the bottom. We need those to flip. Well, in exponential terms, the thing that flips a fraction is a negative sign. So it's actually 3/5 raised to the negative 2, because the negative would flip the fraction from 3/5 to 5/3, and then the 2 would square it. Okay, the next one. What power turns the number 9 into the cube root of 81? So in exponential form, it looks like this. I'm going to take a little more time on this one. And I'm actually going to put an X right there. So we're going to start off the problem like this. 9 raised to some power. Instead of the box, I'm putting an X. Equals the cube root of 81. Well, what we're looking for is what they call common basis. So what I see is 9 raised to the x power equals the cube root. I'm going to rewrite the number 81, because I can rewrite that number 81 to be 9 squared. All I did was I turned the number 81 into 9 squared. Now my last step is going to be take this out of radical form and put it into exponential form. The cube root of 9 squared is the same thing as 9 raised to the 2/3 power. Because remember, the index of the radical becomes the denominator of the fraction. And now that I have two numbers written with the same base, if 9 raised to the x equals 9 raised to the 2/3, then x must equal 2/3. 2/3 must be my answer. And now the last one. What power turns the number 216 into the number 6? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rewrite 216 raised to the x power equals 6. So instead of a box, I'm having an x. Now, same thing with common basis. See in the one up here, we turned the 81 into 9 squared. And that's what got us the rest of the way on the problem. Well, 216 can be changed to 6 cubed. So my next step is going to be change 216 to 6 cubed. So 6 cubed raised to the x, and I would multiply the two together. See that 6 cubed, that 216 is hiding right there as 6 cubed. So 6 to the 3x equals 6 to the first. And now my bases are equal, so all I have to do is finish the problem by going 3x equals 1, so x equals 1/3. So actually the answer that goes in that box is 1/3.